Live from the PeopleForward Network podcast studio at CultureCon in Madison, Wisconsin, this Fringe episode was created to help you grow your perspective around culture and meaningful work. CultureCon believes that every individual, regardless of role, has the power to make work more meaningful for themselves and their organization. Now, here's some inspiration straight from the amazing leaders and workplaces within the CultureCon community.
Hey, it's Nikki, Llewellyn-Gregory, and I am back here at CultureCon Live 2024 in Madison, Wisconsin. And I have another first-timer with me today. So excited. Both she and I are sharing our first experience, and we're in day kind of 1.5, 2, depending on when we showed up, but it's been pretty awesome. Melissa Sanchez, she's an employee engagement and DEI specialist at Duck Creek. I know there's a great representation here from Duck Creek, by the way. We're going to have a few different episodes from them. Excited about that. So, Melissa, before we dig in, since both of us first timers, give a little insight on the experience here at CultureCon.
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's been a really good experience. I love that going to other conferences and kind of comparing it to CultureCon. You get a lot of how-tos, especially for a company that's more mid-size, like ourselves at Duck Creek. So I'm glad that I was able to take a lot of notes and take that away with me. And I think that's my favorite part of coming to conferences like this. So no, it's been a good time since I've been here yesterday.
Yeah, and it's just really good people, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Everyone is so nice,
super nice,
helpful, and everyone's sharing ideas. It's just there's a vibe here that's different.
Yes, very lively, very engaging. I mean, we're all folks in very engaging spaces. So I only imagined it to be this way.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we talked before we came here to meet live, and really wanted to lean into a mentoring topic that we can go deep on learning from you today.
Sure.
And I know you had said some things that my words that I captured were around mirroring client retention efforts to employee retention efforts. Mm-hmm. Basically, that, man, sometimes we spend so much time on the things that we're doing to retain our clients, but how could we apply some of those things in even a deeper way to employees? Why is this topic so important to you?
Yeah, I guess, so I spent 7 years in higher education, and I spent a lot of time doing the same type of work that I'm doing now with adults, but with students. And, it was a lot of just keeping them engaged and having them go through that process, the lifelong journey of education. And I'm taking that with me now coming into the corporate side, where I want to really have employees feel like from the very start to end that they have the support that they need, they have the sense of belonging, they can find the communities, and it really starts from even before they get into the door of, especially at Duck Creek at this moment. So I find it to be a very essential and important piece to have that start as soon as possible.
I love that. And we're about to dig into this starting before they even start. I got to hear about that. I keep hearing different initiatives. You all have taken the stage here. We've talked prior. There's some really standout culture things you're doing, and we're going to talk about, I know one of your favorites will highlight, and just how you are starting, to engage people even before they start. That's so unique. But before we do that, I think it's important to kind of challenge the people listening with maybe a new way of thinking around some of the initiatives they're doing to go deeper on employee retention and why that's important. So for somebody that's listening, maybe a reflection for a second, think about this. And here's really what you're looking to challenge, that mindset that you're looking to challenge.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely think when you think about an employee coming in, there's a lot of memorable pieces, right? Important pieces throughout a life, an employee journey. And that you have to really hit those because, when you're working with a client, right, and I kind of look at that, I've never really directly worked with a client, but you always want to do some of these pieces where, you're engaging them, you're giving them all these different updates, you're communicating with them very effectively. There's just so much that goes into it where I'm we need to do the same thing, right? In order for us to keep the employees that we're at, we need to effectively communicate with them through the good, through the bad, and all in between. We need to keep them engaged. We need to have them feeling like they can find their different communities, whether that is through maybe ERGs or maybe they love cybersecurity and they're not in that piece, but how can we, have them explore some of these aspects even within the workplace? Learning and development is a huge piece of that too, ensuring that folks feel like, I can grow here, I can learn new skills, and that will help me level up in my next position. So hence why, I definitely see a very similar resemblance as to how, our sales folks treat our clients, and then how I look at our employees here at Duck Creek, where it's like we need to be doing very similar things to keep them engaged and not have them leave us.
Totally. And you think about the vibe that an employee puts off, a team member puts off to the client. It's based on like how they feel,
Yeah.
how their cup is filled, if you will. I was trying to think of a company that does this really well. I don't know if you ever go to Trader Joe's,
Oh, yeah.
the grocery store.
Yes.
It's like everyone is always happy. They're like dancing around. I'm like, do they put something in the coffee around
Yeah.
here? But you can just tell that Trader Joe's prioritizes people first. One of the things we do is we build internal private podcasts to really help. I mean, this is actually a good example. Like so many times companies will do podcasts to attract new clients and show off their brand. But then it's like, wait a second. If we're doing that to talk to people we don't even know, we should probably do that internally.
Yes.
But Trader Joe's is one of our examples of that. That's what they do. That's how they inspire their people and keep them all connected. And one of the ways is through podcasting. But I don't know if that's what makes them dance and look like they have extra strong coffee, but there's something there. And I love going there, you know, versus maybe another grocery store where it's like, could they have been grumpier today? You know, like,
right. You want it to have to be an experience, right? You want them to feel, yes, that they're the center, they're the focus, that we care about them. It's what's in it for them as well. So I think that that's very essential to keep those morals and those customs definitely with your own internal folks and not just externally.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about some of your favorite programs, but let's start with, I think you caught everyone's ear when you said, well, we start these initiatives before the team member even starts.
Yeah.
What do you have something unique that you call your employees?
Yeah. So we call them ducks.
Okay. Call them ducks. So before a duck even starts,
Yeah.
you do something unique, like you're already starting engagement. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we started a program this past fiscal year where it's called the Culture Ambassador Program. We call it CAP for short. But it's a really unique program because it's already giving interviewees, so those folks who are trying to get into Duck Creek and going through the interview process, an informal opportunity for them to talk to a current employee at Duck Creek. And these are our culture champions. They're the ones that are screaming through the tops of the roofs of like how great Duck Creek is. But also like we want them to be real, right? Like no company is perfect. And we want them to also say, hey, yeah, like we might have had some issues, but we're working through this. Or this is our step forward, based on our engagement survey. Luckily, I mean, everybody seems like they just really want to know more about what our culture is. What, type of ERGs do we have? Do we have different programs like our counselors or the Culture Ambassador Program? Are there opportunities for learning? What does flexible work look like at Duck Creek? Because sometimes, I mean, that could be a new nuance to people who may not have that experience currently in their position. And they are getting the inside scoop even before they get started. So they're having the opportunity to interview us just as much as them.
That's cool. When it comes to you as an individual employee, what is your favorite initiative you've participated in since you've been at Duck Creek?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, because I lead the CAT program, I think I'm super biased, but I love this program. I think that the culture ambassadors are very energized about interacting with new folks. And even once they get into the door of Duck Creek, we do an additional step for them to engage them from the start, right? Sometimes we've gotten through our engagement survey saying, it's really hard to meet new people, especially in this virtual environment. So how can we get that process where you're virtually hand-holding somebody and saying, hey, I remember we had this conversation a few weeks ago or a few months ago, and let's go ahead and you mentioned you're interested in the BRG or Black Employee Resource Group. Let's take you to the first meeting without, if you feel comfortable to do that, right? Respecting everybody's boundaries. But it sometimes feels like, I remember when we were working in person, you want somebody to kind of come with you. You don't want to be the only one where it feels awkward and somebody has already established a community. You have somebody that's already there kind of supporting you and guiding you through that process, which sometimes could be intimidating for folks.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for taking us behind the scenes with the program that you love the most. So communication at work. I was sharing a couple minutes ago that over our journey with podcasting, we found that it's a wonderful medium because we can meet people where they are right on their smartphone device, tell stories, all of that. I'm curious what you're doing in a unique way, leaning into, with our customers. We want to be very highly communicative. We want to let them know any updates as quick as possible, all these things. How are you transferring that over to the employee side? Like, what are you doing unique and different to help people, particularly being highly remote?
Oh, yeah.
How are you helping people stay informed, stay clear of where we're going, help them
Mhm.
feel part of all the things?
Oh, yeah. We have a very close partnership with our internal communication team. We meet weekly to ensure that we are getting everything that we need out to our employees as soon as possible, right? We have a biweekly newsletter that we use very effectively, and we try to put all of our all company events on there, whether they're virtual or if we're having some regional events, let's say in like a certain area of Chicago, we like to let our ducks know that we're having an event and that they should show up, they should register. So these are the pieces that I think is really important to continue to use, right? You're using all of your platforms, making sure you're having these partnerships with your internal comms. But we also have like our Viva Engage platform where it's like folks go in there and sometimes it could just be more personal or random, but we try to really elevate that platform as well to ensure that folks are getting their information on there, whether that's just fun events or a recap of an event or maybe an upcoming, we need speakers for XYZ or we need support for a volunteer event. So we really try to use that platform as well. And then on top of that, we have a Teams channel. So each of our ERGs have Teams channels that they can really reach out to their community if they have an event coming up or something like, their monthly meeting. But we really try to elevate a lot of those different pieces to ensure that we have as much different platforms saying the same thing so we can, if somebody prefers one or the other, they have a resource for them to see that.
Yeah, I love that. So ERG, Employee Resource Group, do you have a story about one of them that's just like on fire for what they're doing right now or something really cool happened because they came together?
Yeah, I was actually talking about this at our session yesterday. One of our employees, she started maybe about a year and a half ago, and she's actually from Chicago. And I met her at our holiday party last year, and I just remember her kind of being on her own, and I was like, oh, okay, like let's just we started a really nice conversation. We were relating on just like where she was from. And I remember me and my boss talking about the situation. She's like, her one goal that night was to go and talk to the CEO and just say hi to him. And we're so lucky to have our CEO because he's just the most friendliest person in the world and is willing to he's not an intimidating person. I would have taken her and just said, hey, you know what? Like, let's go say hi. But, something in her really flourished after that conversation. She actually got involved with our Culture Ambassador program. She was taking our subcommittee lead for our Volar ERG, and she's been flourishing. It's like night and day. And I just want to say like, wow, it's really nice to see the transition and the impact of how something so small can really flourish somebody to really want to do more for their skills, do more for our company and for our culture, because she really has made such an impact in such a short notice.
That's awesome. I was just thinking with, these types of experiences and just the energy that you bring representing your organization. You think about client retention, and when clients are really happy, they a lot of times refer the next client.
Yes.
I'm curious how that's working in your employee with the ducks. Like, are they a big source of bringing in the next employee for you all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I'm not technically in the recruitment team, but I think that our ducks are just so good. I'm telling you, they're even just our communities, like our employee experience group. They even go into LinkedIn and post their own posts about all of the regional events that they're doing. And that alone, beyond the Duck Creek post or LinkedIn wall that we have, is adding additional value to what our inside culture is, right? So it's like a lot of the times they're like, hey, this is what we got. Like, we have a great place and we have champions inside and outside of Duck Creek because we really see them doing all of these awesome things beyond just what their normal 9 to 5 is.
Yeah.
And promoting us and our culture.
That's great. I think of, I want to talk about employee ownership with you in a minute because I know we had chatted about it before, but I think about one of my favorite brands, aside from Trader Joe's, is Delta Airlines. I am a Delta for life. I just will always choose Delta, even if I have to have a connection. I was going on a mission trip with my husband about 6 months ago, and we had a really rocky start to our day. Like, just things were not working out as normal. I wasn't going to come down on Delta, but I was also like giving them some feedback. We didn't get the seats that we wanted, like all the things. And I was like, it'll be fine. But we happened to sit next to one of the flight attendants when we were taking off, like the chairs that kind of come down and they sit there while while the plane is taking off. And we just got into a conversation and asked her where she's from. And she was saying she just relocated and how happy she is. She's at Delta. Got into a personal conversation. And she asked, how's your experience been today? I was like, funny you should ask. I love Delta no matter what happens. But today's been a little bit of a rocky day. She went and packed us, knowing what we were doing, because she asked, where are you going? We said, we're on this mission trip and kind of out in a remote area. She and the team, every single person that was, even the pilots, wrote a note to support our mission trip, personal little note, packed his little snack bag. And it was like one person that took ownership, hearing about, I'm like, I'm Delta for life. It's been a rough day, but then just went out and coordinated this. I'm like, what? So what did I do? I went out and shared it on social media. I'm like, for those of you that don't fly Delta, if you don't have a Delta American Express card, you get so many great perks, but no one asked me to do that. It was because I was just so excited to, and represent and share a story about a brand that I love. So when we as team members of a company are like so inspired to do that, like there's no better marketing. I'm curious some of your maybe stories or experiences with how the Ducks are, owning like that employee ownership, if you will. How do you see that live out?
Yeah, based on our session, our session yesterday was called Everyone Owns Culture. And it really, like, we live, eat, breathe, sleep it, because even from the day that I started, like I mentioned, I was coming from the higher education sector. There was the main person, I think she was actually in the subcommittee of VALAR, which is our Hispanic ERG. And she, from the get-go, pinged me and she's like, we have another Latina here. And I'm like, yay! Like, I think in that already, kind of that embrace was just so warm to me already that I felt like this is the place I need to be. And then it just had it has such a ripple effect, right? Because when you feel the energy from another person like that, you want to continue to give back. And I think that our Ducks definitely feel that. And we even sense it. We have our annual summit where we bring all of our programs, our councils, our executive sponsors, our ELTs there, and you feel that warmthness immediately once you walk into the room. Like, we go in and sometimes we're like precautious. We're like, we don't know if we should hug or not, but it's like, we just want to give each other a hug because we haven't seen each other in person. And you just see that being carried on, right? Once you kind of have those champions that are in your different programs, they just want to give back and do more to say, hey, how can we expand this? How can we bring more people to be involved with this? Because it's such a unique space for us to be in. And they're gaining so much knowledge, so much skills and abilities that maybe they weren't doing in their normal job duties. But just really expanding those pieces is important.
I love that.
Yeah.
How about we wrap up with, but I do want to hear about what Duck Creek does here in just a minute. So we will wrap up with that. But this conversation, if you leave us with a challenge, a piece of homework, a reflection exercise, like what is one thing that you'd like to leave us with as an action item from this conversation today?
Yeah, coming, I guess, from the employee engagement arena, I would say if you're maybe thinking about doing a program or starting something new at your company, start small, number one. But always just give it a try, whether it is maybe a trial run or a pilot program, something of that nature. Just try it out. We always hear maybe the naysayers saying, like, we've always done it this way, right? But kind of brush that behind the back and say, let's just try it this one time around. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we are willing to adjust, to re-innovate, to pivot, if anything. But I think that that's something that's really helped us here at Duck Creek.
All right. So before we leave, we have to know, you have just like a fascinating name and we've been talking about this amazing culture, but what does Duck Creek do?
So we are an insurance platform. So we're B2B SaaS business. So we sell our insurance platform to other big insurance providers.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm hoping to see you at another CultureCon soon.
Yeah.
But thanks for kicking off the inaugural PeopleForward Network studio at CultureCon 2024.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for having me.